All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is TMPS Nightcap here on YouTube Live. I'm also on Facebook Live. Go to tmpspodcast.com and make sure that you find my main podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and this show, TMPS Nightcap, on YouTube Live. There's a link on the website. Speaking of the regular podcast, TMPS 119, Southside Oompa Loompas, as it's called, is now up and live on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. So check it out there tonight. I do have my nightcap with me. It is an old-fashioned. Now, but I have a very special glass here tonight. This is a rocks glass, and you notice it has a bit of a weird indent, and that indent, I have my little travel humidor here. Oop. I'm going to leave the cigar in its plastic, but this little indent is meant to hold a cigar. Look at that. Look at that. That is unbelievable right there. So I can be out drinking, having a good time, smoking a cigar, and when I need to, pop it right in there to hold it for me. Look at that. I wish I could remember who got this for me. It's probably one of my siblings. That's my guess on that. But I can't remember completely. But I do have my old-fashioned here in my cool cigar holding glass. Look at that. So it is Good Friday. We're coming up to Easter. Happy Easter, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful and going to have a wonderful holiday weekend. It is Friday, the final show of the week, and the final show of the week is kind of a recap of the week, things that we've talked about, my favorite kind of stories and whatnot. I think my favorite story of the week definitely has to be the fact that Elon Musk is trying to buy Twitter. I don't even know if there's an update on it or what. I haven't seen anything online. Who knows? There could be an update. I have no idea. But the fact that Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter, I think, is one of the greatest things that I've ever heard in my entire life. I think the probability of it happening is very low, but I wish it would happen because we could restore free speech on the interwebs, and it could be something that could change internet free speech forever, because we know that when it comes to social media and free speech, they just don't get along. It doesn't matter there. The First Amendment doesn't matter when it comes to social media. The only thing that matters is these independent fact checkers and the woke police. And the woke police and independent fact checkers do not give one shit about the First Amendment. They only care what they think. And we all know that. It's no secret. You know, this isn't some kind of behind the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. It's so out there. It's so obvious. It's so blatant that it just kind of blows the mind. So I really hope, Elon, I hope you can buy Twitter. I hope we can restore free speech to the internet and to social media. But at the end of the day, I just don't know. All I know is this. If Elon can't accomplish it with buying Twitter, he'll accomplish it a different way. And that's what I'm hoping. You know, when you're a businessman, you think, well, I'd rather buy something that's already in place, like Twitter, something that already is Twitter. You know what I mean? It's like buying McDonald's. I want to have a fast food chain. Well, wouldn't you want to buy McDonald's? You have thousands of stores globally. You have a name. You have a brand. You have everything set up. You're just the new owner, right? Or do you want to start from scratch? You have no stores, no food, no brand. No. You'd rather just buy Twitter and transform it into what it should be. So obviously, Elon Musk, not an idiot, that's what he wants to do. And if it doesn't work out, I really feel that if he can't buy Twitter, if they don't let him buy Twitter, then he will make his own. He will make his own forum for free speech. At least that's what I hope he does. That's what I really hope Elon does, because I think that would be the best thing for us, for free speech, for democracy, for this nation, for this upcoming midterms, the next presidential election, is to actually have legitimate free speech over the internet airways. The next big story of the past week was the New York City subway attack. Really an unfortunate thing. Very unfortunate. Apparently, the guy who they arrested had a history of, I believe, petty crimes. Nothing too crazy, but this definitely, unfortunately, you can't predict this kind of stuff. I love watching interrogation videos. I love watching true crime stuff on YouTube and on the internet. And I was watching a YouTube video about a young man who ended up shooting up the grocery store where he worked. And he had a YouTube channel. And basically, he telegraphed all of this on the YouTube channel. And he basically, now I don't know if, okay, so the videos they showed on the videos they showed during this YouTube video, I'm not sure if they were actually on YouTube or if they were videos that were found after he killed people and himself in his attack on the grocery store where he worked. Regardless, he basically said if anyone was paying any sort of attention, they would have known that this was going to happen. And that is one of the issues, is that we all go about our lives. None of us think that something horrible is going to happen to us. We all go about our daily lives doing our thing. And this is a guy who had a YouTube channel. He liked, a certain kind of cartoon. He worked at a grocery store. He had his life, and I don't know his parents. I don't know what they were doing or what they were like. But it was just a really interesting story that it's a hindsight kind of thing. That when you look back on it in hindsight, you would say, wow, this guy was really troubled. But on a daily basis, listen, if you go on the internet and you take everything that everybody says seriously, then at the end of the day, the internet, YouTube, this show, it's for entertainment purposes. It's entertainment. It's for your enjoyment. I could say whatever I want on this show. That doesn't mean it's true. Now, obviously, if I report something like this New York City, Brooklyn subway attack, Frank James or whatever his name was, now that I'm getting from the news, that is true. But if I say something about my own life or what I'm doing or my friends, it could just be for entertainment. It's like a comedian. A comedian's jokes could be based in truth, but are exaggerated for comedic purposes. That's what entertainment is. That's what YouTube channels are. The issue is that anyone with any know-how can have a YouTube channel. That's the problem. There's no real filter. There's no network. Seinfeld had a show because he was a great comedian and NBC gave him a show. And his show was pretty much, it had an oversight committee, which was the NBC higher echelon. If I had the wherewithal, I could have a sitcom. Get some cameras, get a few people, write some scripts, put it on the internet. If I had the wherewithal and ability and funds and know-how to create a multi-camera sitcom, or maybe, anyone could do it now. I mean, it's not going to be on NBC. Maybe eventually, if it's good, maybe someone will see it from the network. But it's entertainment. What you watch is entertainment. Even these true crime. Now, obviously, if it's like a raw footage interrogation, that's obviously a raw footage interrogation. But a lot of the times I watch things that'll have commentary and expert analysis of what's going on. But still, I'm taking their word for it. I'm taking this YouTube channel says they have former detectives and criminal psychologists who review their videos and aid in the commentary. That could be true or not. That's what the channel says. Is that true? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I love that shit. I love that stuff. And that's going to come up. That's going to come up here. But I'm going to talk about that last because I saw this video on this true crime channel that blew my mind. So, I decided to go back to the gym because I'm clinically overweight. And, you do things with the greatest intentions. I got new gym shoes. I joined a gym. I was all excited, So I go to the gym the other day for the first time in a long time. And this freaking shoe on my right foot is rubbing against my heel, creates a blister. I have to stop. Then the next day, my calf on my right leg is killing me because I'm assuming I was compensating. I was trying to walk in a weird way so my heel didn't rub, which made my calf hurt. Now my calf hurts, my heel hurts, and I don't want to go to the gym because now I'm like injured. And what I should have done was just worn a pair of shoes to the gym that I knew that fit well. But no, I had to go and buy a new pair, waste money on them. And now I'm like, I got this pair of shoes that I spent all this money on that I don't know what to do with. I mean, I said, oh, maybe you just have to break them in. So now it's like, okay, I got to break them in, And, it's just kind of a pain in the ass. It's like the thing where you're trying to do something good for yourself. And, this isn't an excuse. I can obviously still go to the gym. My calf hurts a little, but I can walk it out. I have other pairs of shoes that fit and don't rub on my ankle or on the back of my heel. That's obviously true. This isn't an excuse not to go to the gym. But you have, okay, I'm finally going to go. New Year's resolution. It took a few months, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to go. I'm going to do it. And then it's like, damn it. Halfway, I was going to do an hour on the treadmill. 30 minutes in, I could no longer walk on the treadmill because it hurt so bad. I could obviously feel that if I kept walking, it was up against my heel enough where it could possibly bleed. And it just kind of puts a little, it's like a physical thing that puts a snag in your mental, you have this mental, like, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. Right. And then something physical like that's like, damn it. It just stops you. It stops you in your tracks. It just kind of pissed me off a little bit. In F1 news, the next F1 race is in Imola in Italy. You know, it's so interesting. So this race is not called Imola. It's at Imola, but it's like the made in Italy, Amelia Romagno something. And it's like, it took me a while to figure out that it actually is an Imola, because Imola's not in the title, but that's like what they call the race. Like you say, oh, we're racing at Imola, and everyone knows what you mean. That is April 22nd through the 24th. And then after that is this year's first race in the United States in Miami, May 6th through 8th. So they are going to be racing in Miami this season and Austin. And then next year, we all know they're racing in Las Vegas, which we're all very, very excited about. Now I am going to get to the last thing I want to get to. This isn't going to be a very long show. It's just kind of a Good Friday show. You know, when I don't have a cigar, it's a good place to put your finger to have a nice grasp on the glass. This beautiful glass. Okay, so I discovered this new true crime interrogation analysis YouTube channel. I would tell you the name, but my cell phone is doing Facebook Live, so I can't bring it up right now. I forget the name of it. And they do some really good, like I said earlier, I do like to watch raw interrogations where there's no commentary. It is just literally the interrogation footage in its entirety. Those can be a little grueling because interrogations can be pretty boring. And usually there's a long time until you actually get to like a quote good part. And by what I mean by that is parts that have entertainment value, like, or shocking value, where someone says, yes, I murdered this person, or they find, because okay, guys, usually they don't admit to it right away. I mean, that's just human nature. You know, they're hoping the police don't know what the hell's going on and they can just go home and get away with it. But typically that's not the case. And there are interrogations that you watch where right out of the bat, the person says that they did it. And like I was watching one where this guy killed his whole family. And it was all about that they were going to go to eternal life, that the world was ending, that Armageddon was upon us, and that the only way for them to achieve eternal life was for them to die together. And he talked about how his wife would make cakes full of Benadryl and sleeping pills, hoping that it would kill her and the whole family. Like they would have dinner and then all eat a piece of cake. And the goal was that after they each had a piece of cake, they'd all just die. It was like this weird family suicide cult. But what happened, I don't even know what happened, but because I didn't watch the whole thing because the interrogation was really just grueling on. See, that interrogation I'd rather watch with commentary because it was so long. But the interrogation was with the father who had killed his wife and children, but he somehow survived. I'm not really sure the circumstances. And he was like, I don't want to be here. I want to be with them. Like basically their eternal life, their salvation in their minds was based on all of them dying together. And the fact that he was still alive meant that he failed in his mission. to make sure that him and his family were saved and living in an eternal life afterwards. And guys, it's just so bizarre. It's so amazingly bizarre. It's really incredible. So that that one I'd like a little commentary on and a little background. The great thing is when a channel does commentary and research is they give you background into what's going on. Obviously, the interrogation is obviously one of the first items of a criminal procedure. You know, that's well before any kind of court happens. So often you watch an interrogation and you don't even know if the person was convicted or properly arrested. Because usually during an interrogation, they say, you know, you're free to go. At any moment, if you don't want to talk to us anymore, you can go home. Now, obviously, there are different occasions. I actually, now that I think of it, I believe this guy who thought killing himself and his family was going to bring them eternal life, he, I believe, was actually in handcuffs and stuff. So I think he was actually at that point in handcuffs and shackles. So I think he was actually arrested at that point. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure. It looked, if you watch the interrogation video, it definitely looks like his hands were handcuffed. Um, unless he just sat in a goofy way, but he definitely looked like whatever happened, whatever the circumstances, when they found him, it was obvious he needed to be arrested. But again, I don't know the details. I wasn't even going to bring him up, but it just kind of popped in my head. So I'm going through this channel and I watch about, you know, the guy who shot up the grocery store. He was obsessed with this cartoon. This channel does a great job. I mean, like I said, they say that they have a psychiatrist, I think, and a couple former detectives who review the channel and basically they inform the commentary that you hear. And that's phenomenal because it's really good, very thought out stuff. And they have all these videos that go through all these true crimes and all these interrogations and stuff. And I see a video and it says the incest murders. And I was like, incest murders? I was like, okay, let's watch. Because, you know, okay, I have to say this, though. Usually when I watch this kind of stuff, I don't have 100% of my focus on it. I'll either be cleaning my kitchen or cooking a meal, or maybe I'm driving from one place to another, and it's just kind of on. You know, it's not my main focus. My main focus is either cooking or cleaning or driving. But instead of music, sometimes I just want to hear a YouTube video, someone talking. You know how it is. It's just on in the background. And I was like, oh, I'll click. So I was driving from one place to another today. And it's like, oh, incest murders. That sounds weird. Incest murders. I mean, I was like, I don't even know what to think about it. And it's almost like I just needed to know. You call a video incest murders. It's like I have to know what that is. Like I can't go with the rest of my life without knowing what the hell you mean by incest murders. So I clicked on the video. Hold on, my ear is itching the shit out of me right now. Oh my god. There we go. So I click on the video. And here is just a rundown of what I heard. And I hope all of my facts, I'm gonna be broad. This isn't gonna be like a very listen, the video was like an hour long. So obviously this YouTube channel went into great detail, great research. This is more just an overview. All you have to know is while I was driving from point A to point B, the entire time my face was like this. Literally a face of, I can't believe what I'm listening to. Literally cannot believe what I am listening to. So there's a guy. His name was Stephen Pladl, Pladl, according to the internet. And Stephen was married, and him and his wife had a beautiful baby girl. But unfortunately, Stephen abused this baby girl, would pinch her until she bruised, would put her into a cooler, close the lid, and when all the air would escape, he would open it to allow her to catch her breath as a baby. A baby. A little helpless baby. So the wife put the baby up for adoption, knowing that this abuse would continue. Now, the YouTube thing kind of glossed over how she was able to do that without him involved, or it kind of just said the baby was given up for adoption and the baby was adopted by another family. So I don't know exactly if they weren't married, if there was custody involved. At the end of the day, there was a baby who was being abused by the father. The baby was given up for adoption and was adopted. Years later, okay, years later, the couple had a couple more kids, two more daughters, and their first daughter was now. I think they named their daughter Denise, and then when she was adopted, she became Katie. She became Katie Fusco. So Katie Fusco is now an 18-year-old young woman. And she's like, I want to find my biological parents. And the YouTube video that I watched about this said that was the worst decision of her life. Finding her biological parents. Now, obviously, as a baby, she would have no idea that she was abused by her biological father. But she's 18 years old. She knows she's adopted, and she wants to find who her biological parents are. And she does, starts messaging them on the internet, gets to know them, and decides to move away from her adopted parents and move in, or at least, I think physically into their house, to her biological parents' home, to get to know them and her now younger sisters. And they're full sisters. Like, these are her younger sisters. And her adopted parents, I mean, think about it. She's 18. She's an adult. You know, you let her get to know really where she comes from. I mean, adopted parents are parents in their own right, but if I was adopted, I would want to know who my biological parents were. I'd want to know where I came from. Wouldn't you? Not then that doesn't take anything away from your adopted. Now, I'm not adopted, so I don't really know, but I would just think it doesn't take away from your adopted parents because they're your parents. Those are the two people who raised you. But you want to know who you are biologically. Where do you come from? It's cool. I know where I come from, the countries, the heritage, the nationalities. It's something about who you are. Well, this was a horrible mistake on her part. And guys, like I told you, it's called the Incest Murders. What I'm about to say is literally, I just literally can't believe it. Like, I literally cannot believe that this is a true story. And after the video ended, I was really hoping that it wasn't. So just to recap, a father abused his baby, pinching, oxygen deprivation, and they put it up. The wife put it up for adoption, was adopted. Then when she became a young adult, found her biological parents. Now she lives with her biological parents. She becomes very close with her biological father. The biological father is starting to sleep in the same bedroom on the floor as Katie. So she was the niece. Now she's Katie. When I say Katie, Katie is the biological daughter of Stephen, who was adopted by the Fuscos. Okay. And they start to create and start to build this very close relationship. Long story short, this relationship becomes intimate to the point where Stephen's wife divorces him. Stephen falls in love with his biological daughter that they gave up for adoption when she was a baby. They end up getting married. They lied about, because first off, you can't marry your own daughter. Let's just put that out there. You can't legally marry your offspring. Okay. So they lied. Because first off, think about it this way. His name is Stephen Plattle. She was adopted. So her name is now Katie Fusco. So if you're someone, a judge or whoever, a priest, I don't know, pastor, clergyman, and you see Stephen Paddle and Katie Fusco, you don't assume that they're biologically father and daughter, right? So they get legally married. They lie. They lie about their biological relationship on the paperwork. Her adoptive parents come to the wedding. And guess what? At the wedding, she was noticeably pregnant by her biological father. I almost had to pull over my car. I swear to the baby Jesus. I was driving at this point, coming back home. I almost had to pull. When I heard that, I almost had to pull over my car. He not only falls in love with his biological daughter that he gave up for adoption, but they start an intimate relationship. He says, I'm in love with her. And that relationship leads to her being pregnant. She ends up giving birth to a baby boy named Bennett. Now, at this point, he's divorced from his wife, who was Katie's biological mother. They end up getting arrested for incest. The baby is with the grandmother. So the baby is with Stephen's mother, I believe. And then again, there's more happenings. But at the end of the day, what happens is Stephen goes to his mother's house and picks up his son, Bennett, a son born of incest, if you know, and then kills the baby boy, then drives 600 miles. Now Katie Fusco is living with her adopted parents again. Because you have to understand something. Once they got arrested for incest, everything fell apart. The marriage, all of this stuff, all fell apart, obviously. So Stephen drives 600 miles to where the Fuscos live, now where Katie is living, back with her adopted parents. And he's in his light blue minivan. He scopes out their house, gets to know their comings and goings. And when they leave the house one day, he follows, goes up to their car, and murders in cold blood not only Katie, his biological daughter, mother of his incestual son, or son born of incest, I should say, and Katie's adopted father. Now, I don't believe the adopted mother was involved. I know for sure the adopted father and Katie were killed. And then later, the police found his baby blue minivan or light blue minivan. With him in it, hunched over, he killed himself. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, it is literally unbelievable that a man could have a baby girl, give it up for adoption, later reconnect with this baby girl who's now a young adult, and have a sexual relationship with her that produces a child. And then he kills them and then himself. It is literally unbelievable. I can't believe this story is even true because it is just a level of bizarreness that I've never witnessed in my entire life. I've literally never even thought was even possible in my entire life. Uh, you know, the guy's lawyer, Steven's lawyer, said in the trial that even though this is his biological daughter, they had no relationship. They didn't have a father-daughter relationship. When the daughter was given up for adoption, she was a baby. So meeting her as a young woman was basically like meeting a stranger. I'm sorry. I know defense lawyers need to do their job and they need to, do whatever they have to do. But at the end of the day, this guy had an intimate relationship with his biological daughter that produced a child. I'm sorry, but it's literally unbelievable. It's literally one of the craziest stories I have ever heard in my entire life. And I hope in the future that this show doesn't always dwell on these very tragic, bizarre stories. And this guy, Steven, his wife, first off, this Steven guy was a total whack job. I mean, can you imagine you have a baby and you put it in a cooler until the air is out and you pinch it until it's bruised? I mean, he was abusing his baby. I mean, this guy was a wackadoodle to begin with. So him impregnating his biological daughter actually isn't that far-fetched based on how he abused this young girl or this baby girl. So but then again, pinching and bruising a baby girl isn't exactly the same as incest and impregnating your biological daughter, but still, it kind of makes you wonder, why wasn't this guy institutionalized? I mean, this guy was allowed to walk the streets. But if you think about it, the video and what I know didn't mention anything beyond what he did to his daughter and then the incest and child that came later. So, I mean, didn't sound like he was hurting other people, killing other people, beating up other people, cheating on his wife, but it's still one of the most bizarre stories I've ever heard in my entire life. Look it up, guys. The Incest Murders, Stephen Plattel, his daughter, Katie Fusco. It is really one of the most bizarre stories I've ever heard in my entire life. And there's a Formula One race. The season has just started. It's going to be a phenomenal season. Only 3 races so far, tons of up and downs. And who thinks Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter? I really hope he does. For the sake of democracy and free speech, I hope Elon Musk gets to buy Twitter. And all right, guys. Well, I think that's enough for tonight. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my nightcap. And guys, remember to go to tmpspodcast.com. Listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. find TMPS Nightcap on YouTube, the nightly late night show that goes along with the podcast, usually every weekday night at 11:30 p.m., where you can watch on YouTube Live, chime in, ask me questions, comment. And guys, you have a good night. I am going to end the Facebook Live, and then I'm going to end the YouTube Live.